right, good morning. This is the Morning Drift. My name is Simba, Elijah Charles Kiage, and if you're just joining us, this is Lookuptv. I'm not alone. A man, Brian Amwai, is with me this morning. Amwai, good morning. I don't know how to introduce, because if I don't say your name, I just leave it at I'm not alone, then it will be not okay for you to begin.
Now anyway. Listen, this is the thing. I leave you to introduce my name. Because if you don't, then I'll be here waiting for you to say it. So just get done with it first.
You're happy to be back, man.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
we did miss you here.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's been lovely. I've got a couple of stories that I think I'll be able to package them for Liquor Business just because of the hiatus that I took. Been to Kisii County and Nyamira County, to be specific. I'll be telling you as we go on with the show just a couple of areas that I've noticed that way later on what has been trending. I'll be telling you what is trending from Kisii and Nyamira counties, but we do know why. What is trending across the board is that up to now, one governor is in trouble with EACC. His name is Ferdinand Baraza, by the way, who has been camping at the EACC offices as from yesterday 2:30 p.m. And has been questioned about the disappearance of 18 billion shillings. And that is when he was the CEO of the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company. Trouble brewing for that particular Governor Amwai. Yes.
A lot of things happening when it comes to fighting corruption, probably with this particular government. And Fernandez Baraza, yes, he is facing corruption charges, 18 billion, like Simba just said it. And 12 hours, he spent 12 hours being grilled on that particular issue. And that's a story that we'll be following up and also bringing you up to date with that in our subsequent bulletins, and also here on the morning on the morning drifts, rather.
So if you look at where the questions are coming from, that particular suspicion of the 18 billion fraud transaction, it happened to have been paid to Electrocana Wind Power for a project in Marsabit, and they're saying you and I are going to lose this 18 billion shillings. So they asked him to go in and record a statement, but then the statement took 12 hours. Journalists were camped yesterday at ESCC offices, but they got no story because it went in, seemingly never came out. Just record a statement and you will see exactly what that is. And you will see another person then who's going to be in trouble because of this is former Energy Principal Secretary Joseph Njoroge, who also served as PS in the docket, has already been grilled on this particular one. And if you do remember, he quit before his tenure ended back in April, sort of saying, well, but then they called him back and they also grilled him on that one. So, Amai, what is going to happen if he's found culpable then of this particular one?
Pardon?
What is going to happen? What does Chapter 6 say?
Well, integrity, listen, it's just to do with integrity, and I know whichever side of the political divide, we just hope that this one is not also a political witch hunt, which we will see later on probably start to play out when people say now, when it comes to matters corruption, the other side of the political divide, you get to release them, and these people of the other side of the political divide now get to be grilled, because now if you see the people that are being pursued when it comes to matters corruption and integrity issues right now, don't belong to the government to some extent. So Chapter 6 is very important. We need to uphold it. And if at all they are guilty of what they are being accused of, then they need to pay for that.
Yeah, you see exactly how it is, isn't it? I do know we have another vetting going on today.
Yes, we are looking for the Inspector General of Police and replacing IG Mutiambai. Now we are looking at Kome being, vetted today. That is also a story that we are following up on here on Lookuptv, and we understand that our reporter is following up on that. That is Henry Tendent. He will be bringing us up to date with that particular story as we continue the program today and also in our subsequent bulletins.
Yeah, by the way, this one comes all the way from 25th October of 2022. That's when we had 10 days, because that's when his name was gazetted, isn't it? That's when we had 10 days then to get in the views. So whatever's going to go on today is just to go through those views and then see whether indeed he makes it to the end of that particular a vetting process as well. Anyway, so that's how it is, though, giving you the general outlook of exactly what has gone on this weekend all the way through Monday. It is Tuesday as well, and I do know exactly what Liverpool fans are talking about online, in as much as the Champions League draw is concerned, with majority of them saying Liverpool have been rigged out. No. It was a proper process of picking the UCL draws. We know exactly that Man United as well is going to face Barcelona in the Europa League. We should start even saying goodbye to them just right now, because we do know you guys are not going to beat Barcelona. I do not think so. Anyway, we'll talk about that on exactly what is trending this morning. But right now, let's take a tiny breather. Once we come back, we'll be taking you directly into the dailies this morning and showing you exactly what it is taking center stage in as much as those ones are concerned. Remember, you can join us online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba and Brian Amwai. All right, we are done with that particular breather. All right, let's tell you exactly what is trending on the newspapers today. Amwai, you do have the Daily Nation.
Yeah, do we start with the Daily Nation?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, now, so the Daily Nation says reverse. Now, they're just looking at what some of the policies and some of the projects that William Ruto did have to look at and say, put a stop to that, probably saying that the previous regime, and that is the regime of President Uhuru Kenyatta, might have gotten it wrong when it was looking at that these particular issues and these particular projects. Now, Ruto has overturned over a dozen decisions made by Kenyatta, including restructuring government, revisiting cancelled multi-billion shilling projects, and scrapping subsidies as he fashions his own administration in moves that appear to send a message that his predecessor got things wrong during his tenure. Now, the president has targeted several policies, directives, and programs that were at the heart of the Uhuru administration. That is a story on page 7. Let me just take a look at some of the shifts that we've gotten to see ever since he took office like 2 months ago. Now, the first one is the appointment of 6 judges. That was done almost immediately, reverting port operations and cargo clearance to the Port of Mombasa. That is also something that he did immediately. Now, scrapping fuel and unga subsidies, we saw that. Disbanding DCI Special Service Unit, that is more recent. Transferring the National Police Service budget from the Office of the President to the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Revival of the Council 56 billion Greenfields JKIA terminal. Number 7 is abolishing the Kazi Mtaani program. That is also something recent. Making public SGR financial agreement. That is something that we saw yesterday, Simba.
Yes.
And 9 is reopening at least 26 alcohol manufacturing farms shut down during the previous administration, and reinstating sacked Kenyatta University Vice Chancellor Professor Paul Wainaina at the University Council. That is something that happened last week, I think on Thursday. Yes, those are just some of the things that we are looking at on the Daily Nation, where focusing more on what the president, that is President William Ruto, has actually reversed or taken a look at and said, now we need to rethink this again when it comes to matters governance. Also, on the Daily Nation, one of the biggest topics today also is removing the term limits for the president. Now, this is by a member of parliament who is affiliated to the UDA party. And now they say a UDA lawmaker has revealed plans to seek the scrapping of the presidential term limit, noting that the cap could be on age, not period of service. Now, Fafi MP Salah Yakub said some UDA lawmakers are working on a constitutional amendment bill to replace the 2-term limit with an age limit of 75 years. Now, should the MPs have their way, they would give Dr. William Ruto, the sitting president, the leeway to seek re-election for 4 terms or 20 years. Now, Ruto is aged 55 and has not indicated any intention to contest beyond the current term limit. Now, listen, Simba, maybe if I pick your mind on this particular one,
What?
They say nothing in politics happens by chance, especially when it's something like this.
Yeah.
This, it might not come from the president himself.
Yeah.
it might not come from the executive arm of government, but if it's coming from the legislative arm of government. So this is an MP affiliated to the UDA party. So when say, you try to push this thing and let's see how it works, of course you're going to back you and things like that. What do you think about that when you say matters term limit?
Here's the thing. I mean, the Constitution is quite clear on it. Yeah, you only run for 2 terms, isn't it? That's it. I mean, please, this is unnecessary. As we speak right now, Amwai, the American politics are going through what we call the midterm elections, where we judge you after you've exactly spent 2 years in office. At that point when that is going on, when you feel like indeed we should be taking some people out of office already, here we're talking about extending it. Yeah. What is the listen, that job is not for anybody. That job is for all the Kenyans.
Now listen, this is what could happen. You see, I don't know, because you remember during campaigns when there were rumors and just political propaganda that President Uhuru Kenyatta did not want to leave office. So if he's looking at this and he'll be like, okay, so right, okay, I didn't want to leave. I did want to leave though, and you accuse me of not wanting to leave, but who wants to stay this particular time? Because if we actually said it's 75 years, and you know what, if we say somebody can actually rule this country until they are 75 years of age, then some people are going to be locked out. You know who? Yeah.
Here's the thing. I do not essentially agree with extending that term limit, because then I think that would have to go back to a referendum process. We do know exactly what it means to amend the Constitution. And if you saw how BBI failed, it was on that particular basis that, here's the thing, you gotta subject this to a referendum. Then after that, Amwai, you and I would vote that off. It's one of the very few times that I would actually go and vote that out, because I don't understand where this is coming from.
Now, this is the thing.
Is for the rest of the Kenya.
If at all it gets a lot of mileage here and we give it a lot of airtime, then the opposition will have a road, like they'll have something to ride on when it comes to this government. I think this government should be very careful on what they actually put out there, because they could be giving the opposition ammunition, especially on term limits. That is something we don't take lightly here in the country. Mixed
reactions is what we don't like. And I will hope that it really settles out. Anyway, Amwai, is that from the Daily Nation? All right. Got to tell you this. On the standards, three things actually that are taking center stage is on the contract that Kipchumba Murkomen, the CS, Transport, and then Urban Development did include here. Lot of hot air. We do know exactly where this comes from. Comes from the ruling of the Supreme Court on the challenged 2022 elections, isn't it? Murkomen fails to give SGR deal. But the reality is, though, it did actually tell us what the deal was, because we did not even know the interest rates that were paying in that particular loan. Then it says, Transport CS sensationally announced the government made public the standard gauge railway contract between Kenya and China, but it turned out to be bits and pieces of the part, apparently in its Chinese permission to make it public. Because indeed, Amwai, if you look at that particular contract is between the peoples of China and the Kenyan government. Who is the Kenyan government and who are the peoples of China? Very, very complex. Because then the transport ministry was not party to that contract, because we do not know the finer details of that contract. Yes, you will know that indeed now we've known that a KPA, yes, is part of collateral for that particular contract. We do know it is annualized at 2.6% interest. We do have the servicing charge of around 0.5%. Fine. And we do know that we have a 7-year term, is called a grace period then, to repay it. We already have taken 1 year out. Was it 1 year? Yeah. And then now we are already paying it. Now, but Amwai, they did not release the finer details. Now, I will tell you whose signature is appended there. Uhuru Kenyatta's signature is appended there. We do have former Treasury CS, Rotich, and former Transport PS, and Duvamule. They're the ones who made the deal go through. But the finer pieces of that particular contract, we've not seen it, Amwai. So, hot air And it was hotter.
But this is the thing, in Murkomen's defense, that I think he said it was quite difficult to even lay hands on that particular contract, so making it public. Some people are arguing we should actually appreciate, because this is something that was not in the public domain. We didn't get to say it.
Amwai, of course, we did know that Uhuru Kenyatta's signatures had to be there.
Okay.
We did know in some sort of way that the Treasury CS signature had to be there. Yeah? And probably even somebody from the Transport Ministry, isn't it? No. But that's what he released.
Okay.
And we did know probably that particular loan that we got from China, we do know what the Exim Bank interest rates are. At that particular point, that could be around 2.6%. But those are details, Amwai, that are public domain. I mean, you could email the Exim Bank of China and ask them what their interest rates are. They will tell you what they are.
Okay.
The finer details are the ones that we wanted to see. They're not there. They're not there. So this is public information. Nothing has changed. I will tell you that, Amwai. Okay. And it will be proper for us to know the finer details of that contract that we signed between the peoples of China and the Kenyan government. Okay. I will tell you that. Probably now, it's time for us to seek finer details. And this is what he said. For him as a transport CS, he's going to talk to the Bank of China, there's the Exim Bank, and whoever gave us this particular loans for fair terms. Remember, we're paying it for the next 20 years.
Yep.
Whoa, 20 years, am I? So probably up to 2035 thereof. There's 7 years that in case something happens, we still have that grace period that we can look for ways of settling it. Okay. So probably the biggest announcement from Kipchumba Murkomen is that he's going to talk to them so that we revise our payment terms.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
According to him.
But somebody else was arguing something, Simba, and I think this was just some political analysts. So they're saying, you see, if it was not supposed to be public, then why was it made public? We could actually land in trouble when it comes to that. Yeah, and somebody also said, probably the peoples of China, according to the contract then, they might react to this. Yeah. Or the details of what has been released was not part of the private contract. Yeah, maybe this is what is in the public domain, isn't it? But then the details of what we've not seen, all right? And here's the thing that we have to know, that the peoples of China can take the KPA, that's the Kenya Ports Authority, without notifying the Kenyan government. Yeah, if you fail to repay the Chinese loans. Think about it. Anyway, we leave it there for now, isn't it? Any other... Another area that is taking center stage on the Standard this morning is our president, that is President William Ruto, is at the COP27 as we speak, by the way, taking a proper picture there with the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And what we're going to see, but you remember the speech of former President Uhuru Kenyatta at COP26, saying that the country is 100% green energy. Is that? Am I? Everybody's using clean energy in Kenya. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at Kenya Power, they get we use green energy to generate our power, isn't it? When we're using coal. And they said that the government is only supplying green generated energy 100%. But then what he failed to talk about is the reach of this energy. Yeah. But we do have majority of people in the country still using charcoal to cook, isn't it? So we'll leave it there for now. Again, I'm waiting for his speech. That is William Ruto on exactly where he wants to drive this country to 2030 by the majority of the UN agreements by 2030. So we're going to see exactly what he talks about it. It's more about action. And this country right now, Kenya, is facing an acute drought. So probably is gonna make a proper speech on exactly what we need to do. It's less about the speeches and more about action, by the way, in COP27. And that is a particular one that I think the business desk is gonna focus on in terms of generating stories for Lookuptv. Okay. Yeah. Something else that I think you'll also be focusing on is the issues to do with the KQ. And here on the Daily Nation, they say, who will blink first? KQ and Pilots Union double down in round.
By the way,
the Kenya Airways says it has started hiring new employees to replace those who have boycotted duty as crisis deepens. Now, we saw that the CEO, that is Alan Kilavuka, actually saying that we are looking at those people who will not be coming back to work. We're looking at actually replacing them. And we saw an advert actually do run where they're looking for pilots, and they did their qualifications on exactly what you can do to actually get to apply and things like that.
Yeah, I will tell you though, drama on that particular one. Drama, I'll tell you that, because Kotu has come in, the Labour Department has come in, the Transport Ministry has come in, and now the CALPA, the Association for Pilots, isn't it, has also come in. And now what we do know is that a KQ has advertised for pilot positions, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the latest development is that Alan Kilavuka is not now sitting down with the association just to negotiate.
Yeah.
And there was a bargain agreement that was already signed that was supposed to, but they threatened to go on strike sometime back. There was already a bargain agreement that was already signed, but that, according to the association, has not been respected. Now, both of them are threatening each other. They're threatening to take KQ to court just because of this action of advertising those particular pilot positions.
Yep.
And KQ is also threatening to take them to court for negligence. So it is 50-50.
He said they were actually going to be very responsible for the damage that they've caused the airline, and that is the image in terms of international and also monetary, in terms of business and all that.
Yeah, I saw Mike.
But he's threatening them actually the right way to go about it, because he said he did say that the time for actually negotiating that time has elapsed, and we are not going to sit down with you. You either come back to work or you don't, and we get to take action on you.
Yeah, I will tell you though, if you look at the way it's poised, you never know who's gonna win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then I saw Mike Sonko tweet, mazee, meiva sana kuendesha ndege, I can fly any other thing. There's a company hassle because they've cancelled a couple of destinations, isn't it?
Yeah,
they
did.
The couple of destinations we do know right now are not operating 100% because then majority of the pilots are on strike. Now Mike Sonko is like, sinikuja ni hasolio route, munipatie pesa in a couple of days. And then,
at the end of the day, though, this is the thing. I believe if you have employees who play a very crucial role in running that particular organization, when they say we have issues that need addressed, you better sit down with them and get those issues addressed. You don't need to get to this particular point, because they gave a 14-day notice. There was no that sit down to have them probably air out your grievances and to see how we can arrive on an agreement, the both of us. So when they go on strike, that's when you realize, by the way, we are going to lose a lot of money, and now you want them back up by force. If they don't, you threaten to sack them. No. I believe if there are grievances, if you believe that they do play a critical role in running that particular organization, then sit down with them before it escalates to this particular point.
That's exactly how it goes, isn't it?
Yep.
Anyway, it's just for us to wait and see exactly how this goes. But it's a developing story, and we should be keeping a tabs on it right here at Lookuptv and reporting it to you when and when we should be having the details as well. Now we take a tiny breather. Once we come back again, we should be going online, telling you exactly what it is that you're talking about in your morning trance. Tell you what is trending on my side of mine this morning. I do have a COP27 is trending, and majority of the world's leaders right now are camped in Egypt talking about issues climate change and moving the world to green energy. Now, gotta look at it. Very, very interesting tweet here from Peter McCahan, who says, "Do as we say, but not as we do." Interesting when you think about it.
Yeah.
I've gone to the meme of think about it. Anyway, do as we say, but
not as we do.
Not as we do. Because majority of these nations, again, Amwai, when you look at the US, in terms of contributing to global warming, they're on the spot. China as well, they're on the spot. This majority of developed nations are on the spot, for not curtailing global warming. So now that's why...
and there are the nations that do come out with these policies and say exactly how we are supposed to go, which direction we are supposed to take, and all that. And, some extent, they expect all of us to actually do that. And somebody said that we Africans actually do pay for mistakes of other nations. Why do we have to do that?
I'm telling you, by the way. Now, this is DM25. We're saying the world's elite have arrived at COP27 on hundreds of private jets to lecture you about climate change. Think about it. And wait. He goes on and said, sponsored by Coca-Cola. Think about it as well. You know, Coca-Cola is on the spot, by the way. It's among the leading companies in a plastic pollution. Yeah, it is.
You make a mistake, you drive the world to a corner, and you still want to come out as their savior to some extent, so that they don't get to blame you for that. So they feel indebted to you and say, by the way, these are the people that are sponsoring this. These are the people that are calling us to do this. So we can't actually say they're the ones responsible. So you want to, you cover your mistakes with a little bit of a good deed here, but the kind of damage you're doing is it's actually bigger than that.
I'll tell you though. Now, this is a tweet from Antonio Guterres. By the way, Guterres, you need to go and listen to his call-out cry just before the start of COP27. It's quite moving. I was listening to him on BBC this morning on my way to work. Now, this is what he said. I have just warned global leaders at COP27. We are on a highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator. Our planet is fast approaching tipping points that will make climate chaos irreversible. We need urgent climate action. And indeed, that's exactly what he said. It is notable that the best that we can do as a world is to move quick on issues on climate action. And indeed, it actually does start with you as well. And so for me, we've had COP26, we're on COP27.
That's the thing, because I wanted us to look at the lessons that we learned in COP26 and whether we did apply them before we actually have COP27. Because it doesn't make sense that we'll actually be the same thing we talk about devolution. When we go for the devolution conference, you're like, so what did you discuss in the last devolution conference? Have you actually implemented that? And someone was arguing and saying, okay, we need a little bit of like 2 years to have another conference so that it gives us time to actually get to implement whatever we discussed in the previous conference. Have we applied whatever we discussed in COP26? Because this now just becomes, to some extent, you just are doing it for show, so that you show people that we're actually doing something, but in reality, we are not doing anything. We should look at what we discussed in COP26.
COP26, isn't it?
Did we apply that?
Did we apply it?
Before we actually come to COP27 and bring other new things that we want to actually implement.
I'm telling you, man.
Because we are going to come out of this with so many things that needs to be implemented. But I haven't seen anything that probably, as far as this country is concerned, that has been applied in regards to what happened in COP26. That discussion ended then. It has started, it just came back to life after we started hearing of COP27 again here in Egypt.
I'm telling you, man. COP27, by the way, is officially sponsored by Coca-Cola, the world's top plastic polluter, who produced 120 billion throwaway plastic bottles a year. The irony in that, Amwai. Let me just leave it there. I've raised my hands. Just like Amwai said, is that from COP26, what have we applied? And if not possible, then what is going to be the action from COP27? That's just about it. Anyway, we take a short break right here on Lookuptv's Morning Drift. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom so we can see some of those bigger stories that we've carried for you this morning in as much as local affairs are concerned. Once we come back.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly 1-year installments plan.
Inspiring possibility. Lookuptv.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about kufurahisha the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Welcome, you're watching The CEO. On this show, where we invite masters, captains of industry.
It's all about working in teams. Customers are happy. It's a good month. The markets are good. I mean, those are very exciting moments.
Ladies and gentlemen who tell us where and how to find money and put money in our pockets and how to go about doing business in the best possible way.
For me, I'm not serving myself. I'm serving community.
Welcome back. This is the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. Thank you very much for being a part and parcel of our broadcast this morning. Guess what? We'll be with you all the way to 12 noon this morning. But for now, let's cross over to the newsroom and get to see some of the stories that are taking center stage this morning. Now, the national carrier Kenya Airways has stated that it will not engage in negotiations with the striking pilots. Speaking at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, KQ Chief Executive Officer Alan Kilavuka stated that the management has started the replacement process, calling on the pilots to get back to work with immediate effect. Shadrach Kareria starts us off this morning.
Kenya Airways pilot strike entered day 3 as passengers remain stranded with their luggages at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. All these as a result of pull and push between the KQ and the Kenya Airline Pilot Association (KALPA). Speaking at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Kenya Airways CEO Alan Kilavula asked the striking pilot to get back to work or risk being replaced, adding that the KQ management has already advertised the position for the pilots who are on strike.
In any case, like I said, we've already started disciplinary action and we've already started recruiting new pilots. So those who are still interested in working with Kenya Airways should very quickly report back to work with immediate effect.
Kilavula made a U-turn on negotiations, stating that there is no room for negotiation, thus asking the pilot to get back to work with immediate effect before they can have any talks.
We have said before that we are ready to talk to KALPA. However, now time has changed. We want them first to go back to work with immediate effect before we can have any discussions whatsoever.
According to the KQ, 25 pilots have already returned to work so far, while 137 others have called in to say that they are unable to fly.
We have already restored about 20% of our network. This is about 18 flights out of JKIA, that's from here. Tomorrow, we estimate that we'll be able to have crewed at least 30% of our flights. So slowly but surely, we are getting back to normal. At the moment, all I can say is that we filed a suit this morning for contempt. But like I said, we lost a lot of money, right? So people have to be held personally and jointly responsible for the losses and damages to this country, to this airline.
The 3 days strike has so far cost the KQ 900 million shillings. On a separate press briefing, the pilots have accused the KQ of intimidation, stating that they are ready to negotiate with the management. According to the KQ management, the striking pilots have no any other option than getting back to work. Reporting for Lookuptv from JKIA International Airport in Nairobi, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
Still a developing story. We shall be keeping a tabs on it, and once we have any other detail, then we shall be giving it to you. The latest development, by the way, on this particular one is that a KQ has already advertised positions for the striking pilots, and they've already given you the details of the experience that they're looking for. So if you do qualify, it's time for you to apply. Now, a third suspect in the brutal murder of the late engineer George Mwangi, husband to former Kiambu politician Gladys Njeri, alias Chania, has been arraigned in court. Now, the suspect, John Muikuriria, is said to be an employee to the late and went missing on the same day the deceased met his uncertain death and was arrested at Karinga location in Gatundu South Sub-County by the detectives.
The suspect, John Muikuriria, an employee to the late Rwanda-based engineer George Mwangi Kamau, went missing on the same day as the deceased. He was, however, arrested at Karinga location in Gatundu South Sub-County by detectives and detained at Muthaiga police station.
Kwa hivyo nitaruhusu upande wa mashtaka na mchunguzi wa hii kesi waweze kukamilisha uchunguzi wao, na nimekubaliana nao kwa kufanya hivyo waweze kukaa na wewe pale Muthaiga police station kwa siku 7 na waweze kukupeleka katika maabara ya serikali wakafanye ile uchunguzi wanataka kufanya hapo. Pia nimewaruhusu wakutumie wewe uweze kuwasaidia kwenda kupata zile vyombo vingine ambavyo vilitumika kwa mauaji ya marehemu, na kama zitapatikana basi pia zitapelekwa kwa maabara ya serikali ili iweze kufanywa uchunguzi zaidi.
The suspect will continue being detained at the police station for 7 days as detectives continue hunting more suspects and in-depth evidence on the brutal murder case of the late George Mwangi. Susan Njeri, Lookuptv.
At least 19 people died when a passenger plane crashed into Lake Victoria in Tanzania yesterday at 8:53 a.m. while trying to land at a nearby airport. Flight PW494, operated by Precision Air, hit the water during storms and heavy rain, plunging into the lake. Malani Orlando reports.
The plane left commercial capital Dar es Salaam and crash landed at around 8:53 a.m. while approaching Bukoba Airport with 39 passengers, 2 pilots, and 2 flight attendants on board. Rescuers in boats rushed to the wreckage, which was almost fully submerged, to pull out trapped passengers. 19 people are said to have died from the crash, as authorities say the 2 pilots who had initially survived the crash were pronounced dead due to lack of enough oxygen supply in the cockpit. However, the 2 flight attendants survived the crash. Meanwhile, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan has called for calm as rescuers continue with the rescue mission. Marlon Orlando, Lookuptv.
Now, moving on to another part of our broadcast this morning. A petitioner has been filed by the petitioner, Frederick Kiberi, through his lawyer, Dunstan Omari, challenging the nomination of principal secretaries to various ministries by President William Ruto, arguing that the appointment did not meet the constitutional threshold. Ian Kitani files the following report.
Just a week after President William Ruto nominated principal secretaries to various state departments, Frederick Bikeri, through his lawyer Dan Stanomari, has filed a case in court seeking to halt their vetting and swearing in.
So we have challenged the nominations, and our prayer to the court is that let there be inclusivity of all the individuals being mentioned. Let there be a representation of at least all the counties, so that once those positions are approved by the National Assembly, those persons nominated becomes the public officers.
In his petition, Bikeri argues that the list of PS nominees unveiled by President William Ruto does not reflect inclusivity of the marginalized communities, as well as gender, regional and tribal balance. Through his lawyer, the petitioners say that the action of the president in nominating his close allies in exclusion of those perceived to be in opposition does not reflect his essence as a symbol of national unity.
That list does not augur well with the current constitutional dispensation. We begin first by understanding that the position that the current president, Dr. Amwai William Ruto, holds is a position that is created by the Constitution. So that as an office bearer of an office created by the Constitution, he is expected by law to act in the manner that the law suggests.
From previous record of the CSS, we completely, as Kenyans, saw that there was no vetting. Parliament became a conveyor belt. All the names that went to Parliament for CSS passed through.
Through lawyer Dan Stanomari, Bikeri argues that the nominations do not depict national representation, including but not limited to the youth, people with disability, the marginalized, and the elderly.
Ethnicity based on the face of the Republic is purely the angle that there are 44 tribes in this country. The president has created 51 positions for principal secretaries. Therefore, it is prudent that each tribe, the 44 tribes, get one. So we are seeking orders to stop the names from going to Parliament until the question of inclusivity is dealt out with it.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, the 27th meeting of the Conference of the Parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27, is on its second day. This year's conference at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt is aimed at discussing the effect of climate change. Moses Okech tells us more.
Allow me to also seize this opportunity.
After the first weekend's engagement on Sunday in the COP27 conference that tackled on distribution of food to Kenyans and other areas that were under the humanitarian crisis due to the drought effect,
we should do in order to overcome these challenges and threats.
On Monday, delegates centered the discussion on implementing stronger and applicable actions to fight the drastic climate change witnessed around the globe. According to the Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, who has formally assumed his role as the new convention of the party's 27 president, taking from UK's Alok Sharma, the efficiency of curbing climate change is possible if the heads of state take charge of the implementations to overcome human crisis.
Climate change-related efforts over the past decades were remarkably polarized, which has slowed down progress of the negotiations.
The debate on the climate change has been on the drawing table in different conventions meetings where developed countries are asked to give a helping hand to the affected countries as well as developing nations that have faced the wrath of climate changes. In abiding with the agreement of the Paris meeting in France, the strategies will be put in place will help in mitigation of the drastic change of climate, thus ensuring that temperatures are normal across the globe and the challenge is controlled. Delegates from different nations will continue with their meeting in the next 2 weeks and ensure the agendas situated are tackled. Onwards, the delegates will bring to the table climate financing, environmental control and agriculture. According to the drought disaster that has persistently led to the deaths of cattle and destruction of crops in Kenya, President William Ruto is the chairperson of the Committee of African Government and is expected to make his speech on 2 accounts, one for Africa and the other for Kenya. The event will end on the 18th of November. Mosa Sukech, Lookuptv.
Actually, it's the third day today, and we do expect that President William Ruto is going to make his submissions on where the country is as regards the fight against climate change at a time when the country is facing a devastating drought never seen in the country. Moving on, Japheth Koome is today, Tuesday 8th of November, expected to appear before the Parliamentary Committee to be vetted for the position of Inspector General of Police, IG. This is after he was nominated by President William Ruto on September 29th, when he was announcing his nominees for Cabinet Secretary positions. Erin John Mukona reports.
After President William Ruto proposed his name to be Hilary Mutyambai's successor as the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome Njembere is expected to face the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Foreign Relations, Administration, Internal Affairs and National Security Committee. This is after outgoing Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai went for a terminal leave on medical grounds. Mutyambai's tenure was supposed to end on April 2023 upon the expiry of his contract.
This afternoon also, I have received communication from the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mutyambai, of his request to proceed on terminal leave because of his health situation. I have, after discussing with Mr. Mutyambai and in consideration of his service to our nation and his health situation, I have accepted that Mr. Mutyambai will proceed on terminal leave on the 6 months that he still has of his contract.
Until his nomination, Koome, who is also a civil engineer, was the commandant of Kiganjo Police Training College, and he has served as a principal assistant to the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Edward Mbogwa. Koome also served as a regional police commander of Nairobi till 2018. Parliament had given Kenyans 10 days to submit their feedback on the appointment of Koome ahead of vetting. According to Article 245, Section 2 of the Constitution, the Inspector General of Police is appointed by the President with the approval of Parliament after vetting. The committee will submit a joint report to the respective houses, which in turn will either approve or reject the nominee, and the Speaker will notify the President on the House decision. Section 6 of the article states that the Inspector General shall be appointed for a single 4-year term and is not eligible for reappointment. Edin John Mokora, Lookuptv.
Now, Kimende residents in Kiambu County are now complaining about the rise of insecurity in the area. There's another stories in the county roundup. Let's take a look.
Kimende residents were on Monday left in shock after a man known to them was found murdered and the body dumped by the roadside.
Mtu kama huyu sio mtu ya mbali, ni mtu kwanza anafanya kazi hapa ya shamba. Hapa Kijabi anafanyia mzee mmoja anaitwa Nganga. Kwa hivyo ni mtu ya hapa, ni watu ya hapa area hii. Kwa hivyo kama tungetabua ni mtu ya mbali, tukisema ametolewa mbali akakuja kutupwa. Hata insecurity ya nyumba ni mingi. Sababu kunakuta mtu anaenda kama side services, nakuta umefunga nyumba yako vizuri, nakuta imefunguliwa, TV imeibiwa na vitu services za nyumba zimeenda. Kwa hivyo tunashangaa kwa nini serikali iko wapi? Ikuja na itusaidie kama wakaaji. Tukitaka visa kama hii ichunguzwe ili watu wale wanafanya kitendo kama hiyo wachukuliwe hatua kali.
Meanwhile, a businessman was on Monday arraigned over stealing more than 400,000 from the cooperative bank. While pleading guilty, he told the court that he thought he had won lotto.
happened in Kakamega County, activities on the Kakamega-Webuye Highway came to a standstill as residents protested, alleging that police officers from Kabras Division shot and killed a young man wrongfully.
Nikuja kiniambia mtoto yako wamemshuti na hajakufa. Penye nimefika hapa nimepata mtoto yangu amekufa. Na sijui amekosa nini. Wananiambia walikuwa wanakimbiza mwizi. Yeye kutokezea ndio akamshuti. Sasa sijui yule askari alimshuti kama anajua yeye ni mwizi ama hakukuwa mwizi.
Kuna vijana wa TTI walikuwa na kijana mmoja ambaye walisemekana ya kwamba ni mwizi mara hapa. So wakati walipokuja ikawa kwamba ni kama wanamwachilia yule jamaa mwenye alikuwa ameiba hiyo gas kule TTI. So watu wakaanza kureact. Katika hiyo reaction ikawa ni kwamba polisi wakaanza kupiga risasi. Hiyo risasi ikaenda ikamguza huyu kijana na ikaguza mwingine. Huyu mwingine sijui amepelekwa wapi, lakini huyu mmoja amekufa yuko hapa.
Priska Njeri, Lookuptv.
Now the much awaited Chief of Defense Forces Camp, commonly known as a CDF Camp, all right, or better known as the Bora Camp 2022, kicked off yesterday at the Ulinzi complex in Langata with a total of 39 teams from both of the men's and women's slated in the tournament, which is set to run till the 15th of November. Mariona Kageni has the full details on that report.
The long-awaited Chief of Defense Forces Cup, the CDF, better known as the Bora Cup 2022, kicked off in a fashionable manner in an event presided by Chief Guest Chief Jaldesa, commander of the Langata Garrison, together with Brigadier Mwenga, commander of Artillery Brigade, who is also the chairman Defense Forces Handball Association, with a total of 13 teams from both the men and the women's side, ready to spark their rivalry and outdo the other in a tournament played at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Langata. The men's side saw Embakasi's Artillery Brigade kick off their debut match by securing victory against Armored Brigade of Isiolo by a score of 27-19. Engineers Brigade of Thika also inflicted pain on their opponents 4 Brigade of Nanyuki 36-22, as Moi Air Base of Nairobi succumbed to Kenya Navy of Mtongwe by a slight margin of 22-18. The women's side, on the other hand, the pace was similarly fast, with Artillery Brigade dominating in both areas to showcase their prowess after beating Kahawa Garrison 24-20. Armored Brigade, in a quest to revive themselves after their male counterpart were defeated, also succumbed in the hands of 4 Brigade of Nanyuki, seeing them settle on a 18-13 score. Kenya Navy Base of Mutongwe, on the other hand, heavily poured on 6 Brigade Modika of Garissa to see them off on a 29-8 score. The tournament also saw Asob of Gilgil having a walkover against Laikipia Air Base. Defense Headquarters DOD of Nairobi succumbed to 2 Brigade of Langnet by a score of 17-10. The heat continues until the 15th of November at the same venue. Marion Kigeni, Lookuptv.
Oh yeah, that's Kageni, isn't it? With that particular story. If you do know, this one is called the CDF Handball Championships. And they kicked off at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. I'm going to tell you that's the indoor arena. It's an annual KDF handball tournament that incorporates handball teams from various units, formations, and bases of the Kenya Defense Forces. And by the way, we might be giving you that coverage. Just confirm the details on that. And we've seen what Brigadier Mwenga underscored the importance of the tournament. And why do you know that majority of our sportsmen and women, or our sports personalities in the country, I was told never call somebody a man or a woman nowadays until you confirm, but they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's good to be very safe.
Yeah, sports personalities come from KDF.
Do they?
Yeah.
I do understand some athletes, though. I don't know. I'm not really sure about that. That's information I'm getting from you.
In fact, perform vizuri unaingia KDF.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. So you need encouragement in terms of rising in ranks, or what exactly happens?
No, just be a good performer in sports. Yeah, because in KDF, watoko KDF bwana yeah, because you the qualification. Have you ever attended the job interviews for people who have to join KDF?
No, I listen, there are things that don't qualify. No. I have a scar, and they used to say if you have a scar, you can't pick research and things like that. Yeah, I have a big scar, I can't. Yeah. So instead of wasting my time and going to run there, I turn a car.
Yeah. But the story from my friend who attended the KDF interviews, yeah? So they only needed 10, and they were, I think at the end of the day, they were 11. Right, strong man, and he was the best performer, right? So he tells me this story, Amwai. So now they're taken into a room. They have to eliminate one, but they just don't know what to do, all right? So they take them to a room. All of them are qualified. They've got the papers. They've got they're efficient physically. Yes, they've gone through everything. They've run in the truck, and the way he explains it, it's in the sun. All right, now. Then they taken into a room. So now he says where they checked them, the police were servicing guns just outside the room. Then one of the policemen decides to shoot and see whether indeed it's the service has gone on correctly. Yeah? The guy goes below the table because he was really scared from the gunshots. Now that's how he failed, but then the story doesn't stop there. That when they were kicking him out of the KDF premises, instead of just letting him walk gently so that he can weep and go home fulfilling the interview, they start chasing him outside. Like, anza kumtoa mbio. We bwana, unatembea hapa na umeanguka interview. Kuja hapa.
That's so sad.
And they're kicking him out. Yeah? It's quite sad. It's quite sad, isn't it?
That is so sad.
Currently, from what we've seen from the CDF Championship, the defending champions, they're called Artillery Brigade, yeah? Yesterday, they beat their rivals, Ahmad Brigade, 27-19 in that thrilling opening match. You will say they marked a very good start in their campaign as the defending champions, yeah? And Engineers Brigade beat 4th Brigade, 20 points to 24 in that match that was highly contested. Now, remember, this event is going to run for 8 days, so there's still 7 more days that are supposed to run. It's going to run all the way up to 15th of November 2022. Just roughly a month to Christmas.
Listen, I have a question. Which game did you play in high school? Did you do handball? Football?
Primary, actually. Primary all the way up to, I was so good to the point that I'm not, this is the reality. I was so good. No, listen. I was so good that when I was in class 6, I was in the school team. Yep.
How lucky.
Used to play as number 6.
Whoa.
Could make the perfect midfielder.
Whoa.
Yeah. Until then, you transition to high school, and then they say your talent, if you have 2 talents, one of them has to lose to the other. So I joined drama, and that's how I stopped playing football, but every Sunday playing the local league. In fact, now let me tell you there's a Amwai. In the local league, they consider me their best midfielder. Highest scoring. This season I've got like, 6 goals, 2 men out of 15 matches. That's not bad. That's a very nice return.
Out of how many matches?
15.
You have how many goals?
6.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very nice return from a midfielder who plays in number 6. I could get a number in that weak team called Manchester United. Trust me, I could play better than Lindelof. I could play better than McTominay.
I think people might actually put you to test with that.
Yes.
So
let's go do that. Yeah, let's go do that. Let's go do that. Yeah. By the way, Amwai, and I told you have to be a football fan because it's football season. We only have 2 weeks
to the World Cup.
The start of the World Cup. You would say even less than 2 weeks, by the way, because the last round of matches for the EPL are going to be played this weekend, and then after that, guys are going to take off and go to the World Cup. Yeah. So which team are you supporting, Amwai? Let me give you the list. I mean, you don't have to know everything. Let me give
But
you...
I did support, I did have a team in the previous World
Which
Cup.
one?
I supported France.
Oh, yeah?
Listen, I don't know why.
Which is okay.
I don't know why. I did support France, and they did win.
Yeah.
And I think to some extent it is because we identified so much. So I came out of that particular World Cup knowing quite a little things, one or two things about sports and football and all that. It was very good. And some crazy celebration when we won. So I don't know. You wanted to give me a list?
Yeah. I will tell you the ones that are quite strong. I mean, we have all these groups up to H. If you want to support an African team, we do have Ghana. Okay. We do have Uruguay. We do have, sorry, not Uruguay. We do have Ghana. We do have Cameroon. All right. We do have Morocco. We do have, let me see. Yeah. I mean, wow. Only those. And by the way, if you look at, we do have Senegal. Okay. So you can pick out of those and then go in and support them. For me, I am supporting one, and that is going to be Ghana for a very specific reason. I still do remember World Cup that they went all the way. They were supposed to get into the semis and they didn't score because of one guy, Mensa. I still haven't forgiven you. All right, then, yes, you can support your team again. Let's see, there's strong teams that we're looking at is Germany, okay? We're looking at Spain, we're looking at France. So if you want to support them here, you can. There's USA, by the way, for those who want to support them. So which one? You gotta have a team, Amwai.
I do. Okay, so you haven't given me the
so
you want me to do
there's
choose from
Qatar,
that?
there's Ecuador, there's Senegal, there's Netherlands, there's England, Iran, USA, Wales, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, there's Mexico, there's Poland, there's France, Australia, Denmark, Tunisia. Oh, I forgot Tunisia, an African team right there. Then Spain, Costa Rica. Yes, another one as well. And Germany,
Can I just go with France again?
What's that? France. All right. Now let me tell you something about France.
Tell me.
You're missing two very important players.
One,
N'Golo Kante, is missing out of injury. And number two, Paul Pogba is also missing. And those guys, when they play in that France team, they play amazing football. So that's the question for France this time around. Like, are they going to be missed? And I think, yes, they're going to be missed. So if you're going to bet, I don't think it's going to be a very good one for you because then N'Golo Kante and Pogba are not there in this World Cup.
Tell me something about Mbappe, though. Do you stand a chance with him, though?
Yeah, it's good. I will tell you. Very nice, I will tell you. But then we did see what he did in the other World Cup. He's been maintaining those particular performances again in his in his club. Yeah, those performers you expect to perform, I will tell you who they are. Messi is going to perform the best this season. Of course, we don't know what he's doing currently in his team. Mbappe, definitely, because they're playing with Messi as well. When you look at it, tell you. Anyway, and Neymar as well. Those guys were going to perform. Yes, likes of Jesus. I know Ian Kitani, by the way, who's going to give you that show now, will come in and start complaining about how Jesus is not going to perform. He is going to perform. Look at the GA in terms of goal contributions, by the way, isn't it? And if you want to catch up on that particular one, and I know Ian Kitani is going to come in and talk about, by the way, today's show is going to be about the squads that we've seen so far for the Brazil. They released the final squad. And I will tell you there's Amwai. Let me tell you how important Arsenal is to the World Cup. We have two players from Arsenal, that are making it through the World Cup. There's Gabriel Jesus. All right, one of the best.
Why did you just have to mention Arsenal, though?
One of the best strikers in the league, and Gabriel Martinelli. All right, one of the best number 10s that we have in the league currently. Those ones are making to the team. When you have one team contributing 2 players out of 22, then as you know that team is really good. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good.
Now that particular show will be coming their way at 12 to 1 with Ian Kitani and I believe Marion Kageni, just looking at what to expect when it comes to Batters World Cup, looking probably at how we played how the previous World Cups have actually been performing, and also the venue that is Qatar, right? And stadiums and all that, and
I'll tell you that.
The action is going to be taking place.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Hopefully now, take a tiny break, isn't it? Once we come back, more of the morning drift.
Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. My name is Maki Wambogo, Sales Manager, Lookuptv Real Estate, and I'm here at our head office, Absa Towers, located at Reuters Street. Today, I'm here to